Today I will find myself on a tiny patch of island in the middle of the endless void. I'll have only a single tree and almost no other resources. But the most interesting part is islands that are scattered all around us, each with its own unique biome or even a dangerous dungeon. Over these 100 days I plan to build a fully functional base. Houses, pens, farms, and everything needed for survival. Kill the Ender Dragon and build a beacon. And believe me, this definitely won't be easy. Here we are, spawning on a skyblock. We are surrounded by all kinds of little islands that we'll eventually have to explore. We only have one tree and a chest. And inside it, there is just a single steak? Seriously? Resources are extremely limited, but honestly, this is already not so bad. Who knows when we'll be able to get proper food again? In the distance, on another island, I was lucky enough to spot a chest. Maybe we'll find something more useful there. But first things first, let's gather some wood. Okay, now the most important thing is to get at least one sapling. Without it, I have no idea how we're supposed to survive. Oh, yes, one dropped. Perfect, let's plant it right away. From the logs, I made the crafting table, then sticks, and my first tools. Surviving will be much easier now, and as you may have noticed, we're literally standing on a tiny patch of dirt that definitely needs expanding. So I started digging up the dirt and eventually got 54 blocks. Using those, I began extending our future platform where all our builds will eventually go. Well, there we go. This is roughly what it looks like. Now we just have to wait for the tree to grow and hope for the best. And just so you understand, I already watched my first sunset and the tree still didn't grow. The nighttime atmosphere here is honestly amazing. The stars are absolutely mesmerizing. With nothing else to do, I just ran around in zigzags hoping the trees would finally grow, because without them I have no idea what we'd even do. Out of boredom, I decided to take a better look at the nearby islands, and on one of them I spotted sweet berries, so we definitely won't starve. Well, at least once we figure out how to bridge over there. A pig even spawned over there. Looks like we'll be able to breed animals. That's really great news. And that's pretty much how my first day of survival went. Just look at this beautiful sunrise. Oh, the tree finally grew. Why did it take so long? Over time, we'll get more and more saplings, so wood won't be a problem at all. Oh, another one grew. I invested all the wood into crafting slabs, which I used to start building outward from the main platform toward the sweet berries. I also see some iron there and a bunch of chickens. And farther away, there are even more interesting islands, so we definitely won't get bored. At the new location, the first thing I did was dig down and mine some stone. And of course the berries. That's what I came here for. Back on the main platform, I finally entered the Stone Age. With new tools, survival will be much easier. I also crafted a furnace from cobblestone and smelted logs into my first charcoal. Using that, I made torches and lit up the platform. To be honest, I really don't want any hostile mobs spawning here. That same night, I went back to the new location. I mined the resources I skipped earlier, got some coal and my first iron. I melted all the metal and crafted an iron shovel and a shield for safety. With the shield, I'll feel much more confident. Hey, back off, you little pest! Oh, what? The very first zombie drops a carrot? What are the odds? I haven't killed a single mob the entire time, and then I instantly get this. This carrot will be extremely useful, trust me. Back on my platform, I set up a small berry farm and placed slabs on top so I wouldn't trip over them later. Now we definitely won't have food problems, at least for a while. I spent the rest of the night chopping wood and nothing particularly interesting happened. But the next day was the opposite. I headed to a new island. There were birch trees, horses, and some strange chest. Inside were various seeds, including carrots, which I had already gotten myself. But this find is still extremely useful, especially in a world where resources are as limited as possible. Using my shovel, I started digging up all the dirt on the island, because we still need to expand the main platform. And for that, we'll need a lot of soil. And the only way to get it right now is to go to different islands and dig it up there. I plan to build the main platform in the shape of the circle, so let's start planning the size. Something like this. I think it'll be enough. For now, the main goal is to gather as much dirt as possible. We have serious resource issues, but we have to make it work. Only by late night did I manage to build something resembling a circle. Honestly, it looks pretty good. Then I chopped down the newly grown wood, threw it into the furnace to smelt into charcoal, and crafted a bunch of torches. Lighting is extremely important. Who knows what will happen if a creeper spawns somewhere? Based on my past hardcore Skyblock experience, I already know those green guys are seriously dangerous. That night I bridged to a new island. It wasn't anything special, but it had a ton of dirt. Exactly what I needed. In the distance I noticed that looked like a small end area. It looked unusual, and we'll definitely check it out someday. For now though, let's get back to the boring routine. You know how it is. We really need a lot of dirt. I used the rest of my iron to craft shovels and headed out to gather as much dirt as possible so I could finally finish the platform. On the 4th day of survival, my platform already looked like this. Overall, I only needed to finish a little more. Using slabs, I traveled to the new islands and mined dirt there. And just so you understand, slabs are currently the most resource-efficient way to reach places, so this method is really good. At one point, I even decided to bridge toward the desert island, and imagine my surprise when I found a cow and a pig there. Of all things, I definitely didn't expect to see them here. Let's make at least a small enclosure so they don't fall off accidentally. In the future, I plan to make a proper pen and breed animals, so they'll be very useful. And in the chest I found a saddle and a music disc, a full entertainment kit. Over time, a huge storm began, and I hope it doesn't mean trouble. Basically, it's just a rain. That night I expanded the tree farm, dealt with hostile mobs, and of course kept lighting up the area. Honestly, this storm is so atmospheric. It creates a sense of danger, yet somehow feels calming at the same time. The atmosphere here is just incredible. In this terrifying storm, I decided to sort my resources and put unnecessary stuff into a chest. I crafted more slabs and set out on a small expedition since we still lacked enough dirt for the platform. I bridged to a completely ordinary island, very similar to the one we started on. I dealt with an uninvited guest and began digging dirt. Then I spotted a suspiciously big island nearby and decided to bridge toward it instead. Just look at this! What is this even for? Maybe someday we'll collect the TNT and use it for something. And the big island turned out to be a dark forest biome, and it looks like there are hostile mob spawners and some kind of structures. There really were pillager spawners, and more interestingly, there was also a sheep and a wool tent, which means we might soon be able to skip nights. I broke the first spawner without any trouble, and to get further I had to improvise. Push pillagers into the void or kill them. Then I broke the second spawner, dealt with the locals, and finally broke the third one. Now the island is ours. First thing I did was open a random chest, and I was pleasantly surprised. There were even more ender pearls, which will be extremely useful since I plan to kill the ender dragon within these 100 days. I also found a second chest with various valuables, including a diamond. We'll need to use it as wisely as possible, since who knows when we'll have access to diamonds again. And of course I gathered the wool, crafted a bed, and now we can finally skip nights and calmly explore new islands, which is just awesome, let me tell you. This opens up so many possibilities. By evening I returned to my original goal and began gathering dirt again. The reason I set out on this journey: I mined for a long time, broke my second iron shovel, then the third one. But I collected a ridiculous amount of dirt, as you can see. Back at my platform, I immediately started building again. And finally, I fully completed it. It looks really nice. Over the next 100 days, I plan to fully decorate the platform, build various houses, and maybe even add branches for different farms. Then came day 6. That day, I decided to work on the idea of building different extensions. From the main platform, I built a circle. We filled the inside with dirt, and honestly, it looked gorgeous. For extra safety, I suggest building these little edges so we don't accidentally fall into the void. We're playing hardcore, and as you know, we only have one life. Safety first. It looks something like this. There is plenty of space, and the best part is that it fits our general style perfectly. This section will be our tree farm. I think that's the most useful thing for us right now, since we don't have any real builds. To make the main platform look green and lively, I decided to connect it with dirt blocks. Over time, the grass will spread and will remove the ugly line. And I think it's time to start thinking ahead and begin building our house. I moved the sweetberry farm aside so we don't get in our way. Then I started outlining the shape of the house. Even though space is very limited, I still chose a fairly big design, and right now it looks like this. Since I still didn't have much wood and had leftover slabs, I decided to continue building functional extensions. But you don't believe it, I got attacked by phantoms and had to hide from them. I totally forgot about them. Well, then let's finally get some sleep. Day 7 started me finishing the outline for the second functional zone, and then the third. But I couldn't build the fourth yet, since dirt line was in the way. The grass hadn't spread yet, so all I could do was wait. By this point I had gathered some wood, so I decided to continue building our future house. I'll need a lot more logs for the frame, so I either have to wait for the trees to grow or travel somewhere. Also, the walls will be cobblestone, and as you know, we still don't have a generator to get it. We need to find water and lava, so I think the best idea for now is to go on a small expedition. Maybe we'll even find some food. I decided to head into unknown, and the first thing I found was a snowy island. On it, as far as I could tell, stood some kind of brick structure with lanterns, which means there might be something interesting or even useful there. To my surprise, I found 2 cows here. Looks like animals are actually pretty common on these islands, even though it's winter. And in the chest there was a whole pile of resources: obsidian, books, lapis lazuli. This kind of loot is insanely useful for us right now. As for the brick structure, it turned out to be complete nonsense. The only useful thing I managed to borrow were a few lanterns for our island. When I returned to the platform, I noticed that a lot of trees had grown during my absence, so I decided to start chopping them down. Of course, doing this with a wooden axe is extremely inconvenient, but we don't have any other option yet. The next day I had almost finished building the frame of our future house. Now I just had to choose a material for the roof, and I think dark oak would be perfect. To get it, I first found some TNT and used it to blow up trees, collecting tons of wood. By the way, even speedrunners sometimes use this trick to farm resources quickly, so it's a legit method. And on top of that, I even managed to get some iron, which is doubly awesome. When I returned to the platform, I immediately got caught in a heavy rainstorm, and the weather didn't look promising. I decided to smelt some of the logs into charcoal. After all, we still need to light up the entire area, so it's better to take care of it in advance. On day 9 we were greeted by a beautiful rainbow. Just look at how cool it looks in this empty world, as it has no beginning or end. By that point, some of the logs were already smelted into charcoal, and I began lighting up our territory. At the same time, I was thinking about what to do next, since we still didn't have cobblestone generator needed to finish the walls of our house. In the end, I decided to craft some slabs and head out on a large expedition to find lava and water, because without a generator, we simply can't survive in this world. First, I started building toward the Nether Island. I don't know about you, but I always associate Nether with lava. But when I finally reached it, I realized there wasn't much interesting there. Only the chest had insanely valuable resources, pearls and diamonds. Then, as usual, I decided to head toward another Nether Island, but in the distance I accidentally noticed a blacksmith, the very place where lava sources can be found. And the most surprising thing was when I was almost there, I noticed a huge diamond vein underneath me. That island turned out to be unbelievably valuable. From the diamonds I already had, I crafted a pickaxe and used it to mine the new diamonds. 4 of them, not bad at all. I crafted myself a diamond axe and a shovel as well. And on the 9th day of our survival, we finally reached diamond tools. Now surviving will be much more easier and far more efficient. And just as I expected, the blacksmith actually had lava sources. In the chest there was some iron and even a bucket with pufferfish. This is insane luck. Now we have everything we needed for generator. Alright, little fish, I'm sorry, but you're going down the toilet. We don't really need you. From the iron I found, I crafted a bucket and finally collected lava. This is a huge win. It took so long to gather everything needed for the generator, it's crazy. I returned home late at night and finally built a cobblestone generator.
Bruh.
Now we can easily farm as much cobblestone as we want without worrying about anything. This is just awesome, I'm telling you. Maybe we'll even finish the house soon. From all the iron I had left, I crafted a hopper and connected it to the chest next to generator. This will make harvesting cobblestone way more efficient, since earlier some of the blocks would burn in the lava, and with the hopper that shouldn't happen anymore. On day 10 I fully completed the walls. They made entirely of cobblestone, but the floor will be dark oak planks. They fit perfectly, and this is what it looks like now, really cool and cozy. That same day I started building the ceiling and added stairs to the second floor. Now I just needed to design the roof and everything would be almost done. But before that I placed a door, since surprisingly we didn't have one yet. Then I went back to chopping wood because our supply was running low. Luckily, doing it with a diamond axe is pure joy. Compared to a wooden axe, it's a whole different world. That night I began designing the roof, first placing log beams from a regular oak, and the next day switching to dark oak. I think it suits the style perfectly. We stripped the logs for a more unique look, and here's what it looks like now. In my opinion, it's turning out pretty well. Meanwhile, I collected sweet berries so I wouldn't starve, and also mined some cobblestone since I needed it to create the outline for the future roof. On day 12 I started working on the roof outline, and here's what it looks like now. Inside we're filling everything with dark oak, and in the middle let's add extra outline made of stairs to give more depth. It looks absolutely gorgeous. By evening I continued working on the second floor and used regular oak for it. To make it look better, let's strip it. Much nicer. Now we just need to find sand and add windows to our house. From the outside, by the way, this is how it currently looks. I think once we finish everything, the house will look incredible. Slowly but surely a shape is emerging. With every day our platform becomes better and more charming. Day 13 began with the sand collecting. Fortunately, a small desert island was nearby. Then I smelted the sand and placed the windows on the second floor. It looks absolutely beautiful. The only thing the building is missing right now is more shape. To fix that, I started adding stairs, as well as gates and fences, giving the house more depth and atmosphere. And as you can see, now it looks fantastic. Our little house turned out to be as beautiful as it could possibly be in a world like this, while staying minimalistic and elegant. Simply amazing. To finish it off, I added stone buttons on the sides, and overall everything was complete. Now we need to think about our next builds and move toward our goals. Day 14 became an adventure day. I headed out in an unknown direction to find another bucket of water and finally make an infinite water source. Maybe we'd even find food or something else valuable. The first place I reached was a simple village farm plot, and here I found a water source and some potatoes, which we will definitely plant on our platform. And let's grab 2 buckets of water immediately, just in case. However, I wasn't in a hurry to leave, so I collected some hay bales. And since we plan to create functional rings around our platform, we would need tons of dirt. So I kept digging whenever possible. When I returned home, I crafted a lot of bread and restored my hunger bar. And now let's finally make the infinite water source. This is awesome. After all this time, we finally have water, allowing us to build all the farms we need. By evening, I started placing dirt inside the functional zones to later plant potatoes, carrots, and other crops there. But dirt was running extremely low, so the next day I went to gather as much as possible. And of course, I kept collecting wood to build all the functional zones. I decided to completely surround the main platform with these rings. I think it's a great idea. It will take a lot of dirt and wood, but just look at how beautiful it already looks. On day 16, I prepared another ring and built a berry farm inside it. I think we'll be eating berries quite often, so I think it will be useful. I built similar borders on the other rings as well, and now I needed to decide what to place inside them. By evening, I finally figured it out. Planting various crops would be a good idea. One section I planted with potatoes, another with carrots, even though we don't have many yet. They will grow over time and everything will be great. The fourth farm is for wheat. We'll definitely need it for breeding animals. And the 5th ring, I planted beetroots. I think this will be enough farms for crops. We don't really need more. From the outside, the rings already look nice. Over time, the grass will spread, and I could build another functional ring there. But all our dirt had run out, which is a real problem. Guys, victory! The grass has finally started spreading across our platform. Now we'll have a green, beautiful island, and this is awesome. The sunsets here are breathtaking, and this mod pack, they're absolutely mesmerizing. And since I was bored and tired of staying in one place, I decided to go on a journey to look for something interesting. Maybe even new dungeons or something similar. Along the way, I collected dirt and useful resources and eventually reached strange new islands that look completely different from all the previous ones. When I arrived, I realized this was probably the edge of the world, because no islands could be seen beyond it. And since we were already here, I gathered some moss. Maybe we'll use it later to decorate and green up our platform. What are these villagers doing on the roof? How did they even get up there? These guys are mountain gods or something. From these villagers, I decided to borrow a whole stack of dirt. I began returning home late at night, and along the way I also gathered some iron. We will definitely need it. When I returned, I skipped the night immediately, and in the morning got back building the functional rings. It took a massive amount of time, but just look at how amazing it looks now. And once every section has its own farm, it will look even better. Let's plant dark oak saplings in one of the sections. I think this type of tree will fit perfectly here. Day 20 began with me crafting gear from the iron I collected. A helmet, chest plate and boots. Now we are one step stronger. In an emergency, this armor will definitely help us survive. After that, I dumped a huge chunk of my life into building these damn functional zones. You have no idea how sick of them I became. On day 21, I almost fully planted one of the sections with dark oak, and in another planted my first spruce sapling. And since most of the rings were still empty, I needed more saplings. So I headed out to gather different types of trees. The first thing I found was an abandoned desert hut. It looked unusual, even mysterious. So I decided to build toward it and see what awaited me there. Inside I found a chest with gold, some iron and even splash potion of healing. In a dangerous moment, this could literally save our life, so it's a great find. Right next to the hut stood a huge pyramid. Inside the crypt, there were many hostile mobs that I had to deal with. With the lantern in hand, I began exploring the structure. The first thing I found was a chest with treasure, which is always nice. But the main loot chamber, like in vanilla temples, wasn't there. Instead, there was just a giant empty drop. Good thing we didn't fall in by accident. Who knows how that would have ended. I started heading home late at night, having no idea what was about to happen. On the way, I visited Small Island and collected some sugarcane. We'll absolutely need it later, since I plan to enchant, and that requires lots of books. And when I was finally ready to head home properly, my path was blocked by a massive group of hostile mobs. I instantly realized I wouldn't be able to fight them, so I headed to wait out the night and gather resources until morning, and then return safely. But of course, right then another storm began, and just so you understand, the mobs didn't burn in the sunlight and didn't despawn at all. Of course, I tried to somehow push my way through that horde of zombies and creepers, but calling it safe would be a complete lie. On the contrary, several times I was literally one step away from death. That's why I sprinted to a random villager house and decided to wait out all this horror inside. A cozy little house is definitely better than risking my entire world. Honestly, I really don't want to lose it. Over time, the weather slowly calmed down and I decided to head home. And just so you understand, I wasted so much time that it got dark again. Next time, I definitely need to bring bed with me to skip the nights, otherwise this makes no sense at all. When I returned home, I discovered that the entire platform had already grown over with grass. Just look at how beautiful it looks now. And this nighttime atmosphere, it's pure heaven for the ears. The next day began with the usual routine. I continued building the special functional extensions. After all, I want them to completely surround our main platform, and for that I'll have to put in a lot of work. The entire 23rd day I spent building these damn circles, and just so you understand, I actually overdid it to the point where we'd later even have to remove some of them. But more on that a bit later. Day 24 became a massive woodcutting day. Overall, this time a ton of it had built up, and I spent the entire day chopping wood. Most of the logs I turned into charcoal, and the next day I worked on lighting the area. These mobs were seriously starting to get on my nerves, you have no idea. On day 25 I realized I had many sections prepared for farms, but nothing was growing there yet. So I decided to build to the Savannah Biome Island to get a new wood type and plant it at home. Oh, that's an armadillo! Look how funny it waddles around with those little legs. Such a cute little walking ball, honestly. And over there in the distance, there is some weird island, but it has a campfire and a chest. I think we should definitely bridge over there later too. Anyway, let's gather the wood they originally came here for. For now, let's plant the sapling somewhere over here, so it can grow peacefully. I realized some of the circles were clearly unnecessary. Because of them, everything looks as unaesthetic and messy as possible. So on day 26, I started removing the extra circles. There was no other choice, they had to go. It took some time, but now everything looks neat and much more aesthetic. Here's how it looks now, way better than before. That same night I began mining cobblestone, because soon I plan to build various structures, and that was the material I had the least of. After collecting enough, I tossed it into the furnace so I could get stone bricks later. Then I started constructing something like a shelter where the animal pen would be located. First I worked on the shelter itself using dark oak, mainly stairs and slabs. And here's how it currently looks, honestly pretty good. These dimensions should definitely be enough. I also decided to work on the paths, because that's an important part of making any build look nice. And with more bone meal, I could add some more vegetation. It makes everything look much more lively and interesting. Next, I crafted fences and gates, then started building the pen. The main thing is to divide it into enough sections so there is room for all the animals. In the end, I got a pen like this, with a shelter above it. I think the animals will be very comfortable here. To start, I brought in the pig and cow that we found at the very beginning of our survival on the desert island. Thankfully, they were very calm and walked into their enclosures without any problems. Now I just need to find them a couple so we can start breeding them, not only for meat, but also for leather, which we'll need for books. On day 28, I brought another pig into the pen, bred them, and got a little tiny baby pig. After all this time, we can finally start breeding animals. That's just awesome. By this moment, most of the cobblestone had smelted into stone, and I crafted bricks from it. That material became the base of our new build, specifically a watchtower. As you know, with builds like this, the main thing is to add more depth and shape, and then everything looks fantastic. The tower itself won't be very tall, but it will let us see all the surroundings, which is enough. That same day I finished building the first wall, and here is roughly how it looks. But on the other side I still need to add iron bars, and of course I had no iron left. So the next day I crafted more slabs and set out to search for iron. I didn't have to wait long. Soon enough I found a rich iron cluster and happily mined it. 8 pieces, that should be enough. Let's head back. Once home I smelted the iron and crafted the iron bars I'd been missing for so long. With them I could finish decorating the tower walls properly, and it looks awesome. By evening I finished the entire base of the tower, and it looks absolutely gorgeous. Later I started expanding the tower's foundation to build a viewing platform. By noon I moved on to planning the roof. I built pillars from spruce logs and then stripped them to make everything looks cleaner. The roof itself would be cone-shaped, and the main materials were spruce and dark oak. I worked on it the entire day, but didn't manage to finish, so I had to wrap it up the next morning. And let me tell you, it looks really cool. Spruce together with dark oak is an absolutely perfect combo. At the very top I added a little tip like this, and overall it's done. We ended up with a beautiful, minimalistic tower that fits perfectly into the atmosphere of our platform. Just gorgeous. To keep the build from looking monotonous, I decided to mix in different block colors. I think it was a good idea. It really does look much better. And I almost forgot to show you the view from above. From here you can see almost all the functional zones and farms, and it looks amazing. I spent the rest of the day gathering wood. We'll need a lot more, so I have to put plenty of time into collecting it. Just take a look at this nighttime atmosphere. It feels so good to just stand here and admire the view. Day 32 began with me adding oak slabs outlined to the main platform so everything would match the style we were using. And of course I didn't forget the edges. From the outside it looks like this. Personally, I think it turned out really nice. And since time was running a bit tight, I decided to continue other projects. This time I thought it would be a great idea to build a house for villagers, so we can trade with them in the future. First I built a very simple frame, and here's how it looks. The house will be compact, but it can still fit a lot of villagers, that I can guarantee. For the walls I used the usual cobblestone, and the floor would be dark oak planks. I think there is no better option considering our current resources. That same day I finished building the ceiling as well. Now there was just the small details left, the roof, decorations and preparing workstations for the villagers. On day 33 I worked on the outline of the roof. It was probably the quickest part. Inside I filled everything with dark oak, and down the center I placed a row of stairs to add more depth to the build. With stairs everything looks much better, as you know. Here's how it looks right now. The house is very compact, but there is actually a lot of space inside. I think you could even fit 10 villagers in here. By evening I added windows to the second floor and also built a small fenced area where a carrot farm would be. This way the villagers can breathe without issues. As the final touch I added a bunch of small decorative details. And now it looks absolutely awesome. All that's left is to add beds and workstations. And of course find at least 2 villagers. The house turned out very atmospheric and minimalistic, and I'm really happy with it. Day 34 started with me running to the Dark Oak Island to gather a ton of wool. We'll use it later to craft beds for the villagers. And not far from the main platform I came across an island with a villager house. And inside there were 2 villagers, exactly what we needed. I would transport them using the simplest old school method, a regular bot. First I brought the first villager, then placed the beds and workstations in advance so they would move into a fully prepared house. After that I brought the second villager and let him inside. Now they will live here and produce tons of little micro villagers, who will later become our workers and sell us the items we need. And that's just awesome. Armor and tools definitely won't be extra, especially considering that we want to kill the Ender Dragon within this 100 days. On day 35 I started building the trading hall for the villagers, because soon we'll have many workers and we need to prepare a place where they can stand and trade. This time building the frame was extremely inconvenient, because there was very little space left. The roof was also a problem, it was almost touching the villager's house, which was complete madness. Inside, as always, we fill everything with dark oak, and in the center we place a line of stairs. And honestly, it looks pretty good. Oh, we've got an iron golem here. In the future we definitely need to build an iron farm. That's actually a great idea, because metal is always a problem. And by the way, the villagers already made the micro guy, which means we need to hurry up with the trading hall. I built the walls out of cobblestone and made the floor from dark oak planks as usual. Then inside I planned the special compartments where the villagers would stay. This is roughly how it looks. In total, it can fit 8 villagers, and that should be enough. But to fully finish the build, I need sand for the glass. So I headed to the desert dungeon that we found a long time ago. Time was running short, and I needed to finish everything before day 100. Returning home, I smelted the sand and crafted glass panes, which finally allowed me to complete the trading hall. This is how it looks now. In the future, we'll definitely add some more decorative details, and then it will look even better. That same day I decided to relocate the cobblestone generator because it clearly didn't fit the style of the main platform. To make things look more interesting, I built a small house around it. As usual, first the frame, then the walls and the small roof. And of course I didn't forget about the little details. You can't build anything good without them. In the end, it turned out surprisingly well, especially considering that all of this was built just for the cobblestone generator. Since I didn't have much else to do and still didn't have a proper storage build, I decided to finally start building one. The space was very limited, but I tried to make it genuinely beautiful. Even planning the outline took a lot of time. On top of that, I ran out of wood completely. While I waited for the trees to grow, I decided to build a sugarcane farm. There is nothing complicated about it, except it's incredibly annoying to constantly carry water back and forth. I felt like some kind of water carrier, running the entire day filling trapdoors with water. But eventually the farm was fully finished, and now we just have to wait for the sugarcane to grow. As you remember, we still desperately need it for books, so it's good I didn't forget about it. By day 40, most of the trees had grown, and I started chopping them down. After that, I continued building our future storage room. I finished the roof, added cobblestone walls, and laid a dark oak floor. Overall, the space turned out to be quite large. In our situation, we must use every available corner for resource storage. The next day, I added different details around the building, and inside I placed chests where most of our resources would be stored. Overall, everything is done. From the outside, it looks like this. A simple and neat structure that fits perfectly into the overall style. After that, I returned to the sugarcane farm. We still don't have properly enchanted tools, and this means we urgently need books and an enchantment table. I also decided to bring another cow into the pen, because books require not only paper but also leather. Look at this little dude, he's so tiny and funny. By the way, check this out, we still have a lot of space here. I think this is exactly where we'll build a mob farm, so we can get XP for enchantments. The next day I killed the golem and got a bit of iron, but that clearly wasn't enough for the hoppers needed for the mob farm. So I went on a small expedition and collected all the iron I could find. From the iron I crafted 4 hoppers and began building the mob farm. First I placed the chests where the resources would go, connected the hoppers to them, and then added slabs on top. Along the edges I created a rim so that the mobs would slide down. This is what it looks like now. The next day I mined an absolutely insane amount of cobblestone and continued building the mob farm. I raised the entire structure by 20 blocks, so the mobs that fell would be low on health and easy to kill. From each side I placed 9 blocks outward, forming something like a cross. Then I raised the entire structure by another 2 blocks and connected the corners to create a platform where hostile mobs could spawn. Here I added the side walls and of course the roof. This is roughly how it looks. Now there is only one thing left. Place trapdoors so the mobs stay in their full blocks and fall down. Lastly, I poured the water and the farm is fully complete. On top I added some lighting to prevent random spawns. We definitely don't need that. As you can see, the farm works perfectly. There is a ton of XP and the mob flow is just amazing. Just look at this, I killed them and the whole new batch appears immediately. This farm is insanely OP. I also kept feeding the cows and collecting sugarcane. I think very soon we'll be able to craft the bookshelves and the enchantment table and finally start enchanting our first tools, which is honestly amazing. On day 45, I headed to the End Islands that we saw way back in the beginning of our survival. There wasn't anything too interesting, but there was obsidian, exactly what we need right now. With it, we can craft an enchantment table and also a nether portal, so I immediately started mining. Oh, it's a wandering trader. So many days have passed and only now he decided to spawn. That's insane, I hope he has something valuable. Dang, he doesn't really have anything interesting. Despite that, I managed to trade a few emeralds from the villagers and bought mangrove sapling from the wandering trader. Let's plant them right here. From what I know, they grow in crazy shapes and get extremely huge. Hopefully I won't have to chop them down later. The next morning I decided it was finally time to head into the nether. I'm really curious what it's going to look like. I think you are too. But I had to light the portal using lava because I didn't have flint and steel. And just so you understand, I almost burned down my entire island. But in the end everything was fine and the portal lit successfully. Well, let's go. Oh, wow. It turns out the nether here is empty too. And it looks like there are also different islands we'll have to explore. This looks really unusual, I'll tell you that. What? I see another portal in the distance. I have no idea who built it, but I'm going in. Jeez, look at the spawn rate. There are so many mobs. This is complete chaos. And here's the portal itself. Oh, what is happening here? Looks like there was an activated portal on the Nether Islands. That's really unusual. And by the way, I see our pathways nearby. How did I not notice the portal earlier? I have no clue. Yeah, the chest doesn't have anything valuable either. Back in the nether, I decided to trade with piglins again to get new resources. But I had very little gold left, so I made a primitive zombie pigman farm. However, my sword was too weak, so farming this way was impossible and I had to return back to the overworld. Whoa, look at the mangrove tree. It grew. It's huge. But hey, it actually looks pretty nice, so I'm not removing it. It gives the platform a special atmosphere. It's actually kinda cool. To build a proper zombie pigman farm, I first mined a ton of cobblestone. I needed an insane amount. Then I returned to the nether and started constructing the gold farm. The design is extremely simple and only requires blocks. First, I made a platform for zombie pigmen to spawn, then added slabs so magma cubes wouldn't appear. In the end, the farm was fully finished. It works very simply. We hit the pigmen, they run at us, fall down and die. We don't get XP, but since we have a mob farm in the overworld, that's not a big issue. After gathering enough gold, I traded with piglins once again, trying to get as many resources as possible, and hopefully some pearls. In the end, I got a lot of loot, but only 4 ender pearls. So in the future we'll have to get more, because 4 is definitely not enough for the end portal. After that, I returned to my island. It was raining, but thankfully nothing bad happened to the platform while I was gone, which is honestly great. It looks like we really might complete this challenge. In the storage, I organized all the resources I gathered during this trip. Just look at this: obsidian, various potions, and tons of materials. Then I gathered some resources and finally crafted a few bookshelves. But I was missing literally 1 diamond for the enchantment table, so I went on a little expedition. First, I built out to the tropical island, where I collected some bamboo, and most importantly, I found a chest with 2 diamonds inside. Exactly what I needed. When I got home, I immediately crafted the enchantment table and placed it on the 2nd floor. Of course, we're still far from level 30 enchantments, but we'll make do with what we have. I crafted new tools and started enchanting them. And now we've reached a totally new level, just awesome honestly. At the beginning we had nothing at all, but now we're standing in enchanted armor. With new Silk Touch Axe, I gathered grass blocks and planted them across the functional zones to make them green and beautiful. At the same time I harvested crops and kept feeding the animals. Day 56 began with lighting up our territory. I hadn't done that in a long time, so now was the perfect moment. And it definitely looks much better now. That same day, I decided to head off in a random direction. We hadn't explored anything in a while, and there is surely still a lot of undiscovered stuff left in this world. First, I bridged over to a rather unusual island, completely covered in moss and cobblestone. I snagged a few azalea bushes. I think they look great later when we decorate our platform. Everything will look even cooler. The next island turned out to be just as interesting. There were several tents here, and even a pillager spawner. Luckily, I dealt with them pretty quickly. Oh look, that's a pillager outpost. We absolutely need to loot that. Alright, creeper, you clearly don't belong here. At the very top, I ran into a huge group of mobs, zombies and creepers. To take them out without taking any damage, I really had to show some skill. Ooh, that was actually tough. Wait, why are these pillagers unarmed? How is that even possible? It looks so weird, I can't even process it. Write in the comments why something like this might happen, I'm curious. Inside their chest I found an ominous potion that can trigger a raid. Looks like soon we'll be able to get our first totems. That's actually great news. That same night I decided to head home, but the local mobs weren't planning on letting me do that. Please run, please. I don't wanna die in such a stupid way. Half a heart. No. Okay, block myself in, block myself in. Oh, I think I survived. That could have been the dumbest death of my entire life. After recovering my health, I barely managed to sprint through the mob crowd. Back home, I threw my iron into the furnace, and while it smelted, I placed the azalea bushes around the base. Everything really does look much nicer now. Once the iron was ready, I crafted the blast furnace and placed it in the trading hall. Then brought a villager over. He took the armorer profession. To keep him from escaping, I placed a trapdoor, and everything was ready. I think you already understand that I'm planning to level him up and get the best armor possible. On the farms, I harvested crops, traded with the farmers, and earned emeralds. After some time, I saved up 18 emeralds and bought iron leggings from the armorer. Now I finally had a full set of iron armor, but I'm aiming for at least diamond, so there is no relaxing yet. Since farming emeralds by selling crops wasn't profitable, I broke down some gravel for flint and used it to craft 5 fletching tables. I placed them in the trading hall, and the next day brought new workers. And get this, each one of them bought half a stack of sticks for 1 emerald. That's insanely profitable. With my new enchanted tools, gathering wood became super easy. I turned it into sticks and sold them to villagers, earning tons of emeralds. Slowly I leveled up to the armorer by using everything he sold. I don't even know how much time and effort it took, but after several hours of trading, he finally started selling diamond armor. Guys, finally! After all this time we have our first pieces of diamond armor. This is awesome. But to get the full set, we still need to level him up to max, so it's too early to relax. My survival days became repetitive and boring, chopping wood and trading with villagers. But all of it paid off, because by the evening of day 60, the armorer began selling a full set of diamond armor. I consider that a true victory. I saved up emeralds, and the very next day finally bought that I had dreamed of for so long. Now we have a full set of diamond armor in Skyblock. And if that doesn't deserve a like and a subscription, then I don't know what does. We worked so long for this. This is insane. I didn't stop there and gave another villager the toolsmith profession. Tools are one of the most important things in survival. You literally can't do anything without them. To level the toolsmith, I had to chop this damn wood again and keep trading with the Fletchers. Sometimes villagers refuse to trade at all. In those moments, I just distracted myself with other island tasks, harvesting crops, collecting sugarcane, and occasionally farming mobs to not waste time. It also drops a ton of bones, which I turned into a bone meal to decorate the island with more grass, flowers, and greenery. Every day the base becomes cozier and prettier, and that honestly makes me really happy. Whenever the villagers started accepting sticks again, I immediately returned to trading and kept earning emeralds. Honestly, I think this infinite water source looks pretty weird. I think it'd be a cool idea to replace it with a small pond. So I dug out a small area and shaped it with cobblestone and stone. Then I filled everything with water, added a few lily pads, and used bone meal to grow some plants. And honestly, the pond looks fantastic. I really regret not making it earlier. It fits the island's atmosphere perfectly. For the next days, I worked on building new pathways to make moving around the island more convenient. It took forever, but the result was worth it. Just look at how cool everything looks now. More good news! I finally leveled up the toolsmith, and now he sells enchanted diamond tools, including a pickaxe with fortune, unbreaking, and efficiency. The next day I gathered enough emeralds and instantly bought it. This is amazing. After all this time, we finally have top-tier tools on Skyblock, even though at the beginning we had literally nothing. I also assigned a villager with weaponsmith profession and bought enchanted diamond sword. The Fletchers also leveled up to max, and now they sell pretty good crossbows. So I bought one, and of course a bunch of arrows. By day 68 I was fully geared and ready for the dragon fight. However, we still didn't have any ender eyes or blaze rods, so I set out to gather everything we needed. First I built toward an island with a chest. Thankfully inside was one ender pearl. Progress is progress. Then I headed to Mesa Island where I found some gold in chest. Might be useful later for trading with piglins. Next I discovered a floating Skulk Island, but honestly I have no idea how you're supposed to summon a warden here. The next island I reached was a jungle island, and the most interestingly, it had a huge dungeon that could contain all kinds of valuable loot. From above I broke open a trapdoor and tried to look inside, but couldn't see much. So I decided to tunnel straight into it. Oh, there's so many mobs down here, and there is a chest with nothing useful inside. Okay, please guys, there are way too many of you. Break the spawner, break the spawner. What is even happening? So many creepers, no please. Block in, block in. Whoa. This is absolutely insane, seriously. Eventually I somehow managed to break all those damn spawners, but the loot was so useless, it almost hurt. And just to escape that pit, I had to throw my only ender pearl. After waiting out the night, I returned to base, dumped all the junk and headed out again, this time in the opposite direction. After some time I reached a villager house and instantly got a good idea. Built a small platform and trigger a raid right there. Earlier we found the ominous potion in the pillager outpost, so now there was the perfect moment to use it. Alright, we drink the potion and the raid should start. Oh yeah, the bar is filling. Any second they'll start attacking. Great, they spawned all over the place. With the crossbow I take them out easily, they can't do anything to me. The raid went pretty smoothly, though sometimes it got extremely dangerous. No, die! Please! Oh, Okay, last one. Got him. The funny thing is, most of the raiders just fell into the void, and I didn't even have to finish them off. Eventually, evokers started spawning too, but even they didn't pose much of a threat. Oh, that's it. I beat the raid. Finally. Beating a raid in Skyblock is actually insane and definitely deserves a like. It may look like everything went smoothly, but trust me, it didn't. I'm so exhausted you can't even imagine. Oh, and here's the totem. It's just one, but still, that already makes me safer. On day 72 of survival, I returned back to my base, and just look at how insanely good it looks from a distance. When I got back, I sorted my resources and headed into the Nether. Oh, what? Did you even see that? They should show this in school. That's how you deflect a fireball like an absolute pro. In the Nether, I started bridging into the unknown direction, hoping to find anything interesting. In the distance, I was lucky to spot an island with something clearly built on it. And when I finally reached it, I was absolutely stunned. It was a blaze spawner, exactly what we'd been searching for all this time. What is even happening with this piglin? He's straight up flexing over there. Using a fire resistance potion we once got while trading with piglins, I began farming blazes like this. 8 rods should be more than enough. I got back home only by day 77, and I'll tell you, time is really starting to run out, and we still barely have any ender pearls. After all this time, I only managed to gather 4, and we need at least 12. So yeah, now we seriously need to hurry. Day 78 began with me deciding to breach into a completely unexplored direction, somewhere I hadn't even glanced at before. And just look at this beautiful biome I found. Oh, a bucket with an axolotl. That's a real find. We can put it in our little pond. It'll have its own cozy home. This place is so atmospheric. The vibes are insane. I should gather some of this wood too. We'll plant it back on our platform. It'll look amazing. Later that evening, I was lucky to spot new end islands in the distance. I bridged over there. The sun started to set. And just so you understand, this was actually an end biome. Oh guys, it's an end portal. One problem solved. I didn't even know where it was in this world. Well, it doesn't have a single eye of ender. That's kinda depressing. And why is it so dark here? Oh, there is a spawner. Guys, it's an enderman spawner. This is a win. I won't have to search for those cursed pearls. This is an actual win. I seriously thought I wouldn't be able to kill the dragon within 100 days, but now I can do it even ahead of schedule. I set up the spawner with blocks. If you didn't know, endermen spawn only in darkness. I built this safe little area and then could start farming. It's simple, hit an enderman, run back so he can't reach you, and after some time I managed to craft 12 Eyes of Ender. Then I farmed a few extra pearls just in case, and headed home. Time to prepare for the upcoming fight. So little axolotl, how do you like the new home? Judging by how he's swimming around, looks like he loves it here. Before the dragon fight, I picked up lots of berries just in case. Would suck to run out of food. Then I headed straight to the portal. Alright, 1, 2, 3, let's go. Somebody's gonna get destroyed, and I think you already know it's not gonna be me. Oh yeah, just look at this beauty. We did it even faster than usual, and I think this is actually my first time like that. Let's take the Dragon Ball with us. Since I still had plenty of time left, I decided to try getting Elytra in the end. I found the gateway, entered it, and realized there weren't any islands anywhere nearby. So yeah, no Elytra this time. Because of that, I headed back home and placed the dragon egg like this. And just admit it, it looks absolutely perfect.
No!
And since there wasn't much else to do, I decided to work on something truly important, building a beacon on the skyblock. To do that, I started making an iron farm, built a platform for the villagers, and prepared a little chamber where I'd later trap a zombie. Oh, perfect, a zombie spawned right next to me. Okay, the most important thing for him is to pick up the axe. Come on, buddy. Yes? If someone didn't know, this prevents the mob from despawning. Now gently lure him into the chamber, and done. Then I brought 3 villagers to the farm to create the illusion of a village. We'll put beds here later, and that's it. The system is fully ready. Golems spawn, fall down, and we can farm them easily without any trouble. I did this for quite a while and gathered enough resources to craft all the hoppers I needed. I placed them under the killing chamber, poured lava above, and now everything runs completely automatically. A golem spawns, falls, burns, all the loot goes straight into the hoppers and then into the chest. Perfect. I AFK'd at the farm for tons of time so I could gather enough iron for a full beacon. Around 6 days passed and I finally decided to check the chest. Oh holy, look at the storage! This farm is insanely broken, I'm telling you. I crafted all the iron into blocks and built the beacon pyramid exactly where the old oak tree farm used to be. Okay, now we just need the beacon itself, and that's where the real problem starts. It's already day 95 and I still don't have any wither skulls. I have no idea where to get them. But regardless, I pulled myself together and went back into the nether. I started bridging in a completely different direction, just hoping to find something useful. In the distance, I noticed some nether islands, so I headed there. And when I finally reached them, I saw a spawner. It was dark, so at first I thought it was an enderman spawner. But when wither skeletons started spawning, I freaked out. I couldn't believe my luck, the exact spawner we needed right under my nose. Using slabs, I built a safe area and calmly farmed the wither skeletons. First I got 1 skull, then a second, and finally the third. I only returned home by day 98 and time was really running low. I quickly sorted my inventory and went to the end portal at night because I planned to fight the wither there. I dug under the portal, spawned the wither, and as I hoped, he got stuck right into the bedrock. So killing him was extremely easy. He didn't even manage to do anything to me. I grabbed another star, returned home, and finally crafted the beacon. And yeah, on day 100 of survival, I activated the beacon on Skyblock, where at the very beginning we had absolutely nothing. If that doesn't deserve a like and subscription, I honestly don't know what does. So much time, effort and nerves, it was insane. And with that, the video comes to the end. We achieved absolutely everything we could, expanded the platform, built tons of farms and houses, created beautiful functional zones, got top tier gear, and even managed to kill both the dragon and the wither. I think we didn't just complete our goals, we overachieved them, and that's honestly awesome. As always, this was Skillux. Map and mod pack you can find in the description down below. Good luck everyone, and bye bye!